Hey everybody, Multiple at 59 here. Well, they're at it again. The woke culture are demanding that we stop using ACT and SAT scores in high school to place students into colleges that fit them the best. They're just demanding now that colleges simply admit students based on their race and their gender to diversify all universities to the proper degree so their brochures look good. It doesn't seem to matter to them that some of these kids, probably most of these kids who just get shoved into MIT or Harvard or Yale or Stanford, that these kids are going to function well in those schools. They need test scores. They can't just go on GPAs. You don't know why a kid got good grades. A kid may have got good grades because their parents were doing their homework. They might have got good grades because their girlfriend or their boyfriend or their buddies were doing their work for them outside of class. So they got good grades because their assignments always looked good. But their test scores are another thing. And they're just setting these kids up to fail. And it's like the American society has forgotten that we tried this in the 70s. It was called affirmative action. And because of affirmative action, I didn't get to go to college. My family really couldn't afford to send me. They would have. They would have figured out a way to do it. But I couldn't get even any small scholarships to go to college in 1977 because I was white. And back then, if you weren't a minority or a female, unless you had great academic grades and great SAT scores, you weren't going. And I was an honor student in high school, but I was a B honor student, A-B in that area. And having a 3.5 or 3.7 GPA, if you were a white male, wasn't going to get you anywhere. So I didn't get to go to college, but you know who did get to go to college? A whole bunch of minorities who ended up dropping out of college or flunking out of college. College isn't easy. Our youngest daughter right now is in college, and she is studying and writing essays and doing these assignments constantly. She has very little free time, and you just can't get a lot of young people. I don't really care what color they are. You can't get a lot of young people to dedicate themselves to that kind of environment. And they're just setting these kids up to fail. There are other colleges these kids can go to. If they don't have good SAT scores, they need to go to community college prior to enrolling in a university. And that better prepares them. And they're also they've been bitching about charter schools for years. Charter schools are so much better at preparing young people for the rigors of college, whether emotionally, academically, whatever, socially. The charter schools, that's what they're good at. And public schools are a dismal failure, especially in California. California schools are ridiculous. I wouldn't want some kid that got let into college because of the color of their skin or their sex. I wouldn't want them to be my doctor if I could get a doctor who had great grades in biology and anatomy and went to college and had a great college career in those fields of study that led them into medical school and then did well in medical school, rather than having someone who was just kept getting moved through because of the color of their skin. Not just unfair. You take a kid who goes to a crappy high school but is very bright. They don't get great grades because they got crappy teachers and nobody cares about them. but then they do really well on their ACT or SAT scores and can be accepted into a top-notch university. But they end up not getting that opportunity. Even if they're a minority, they still don't get that opportunity because these colleges are going to stop looking at test scores. Test scores, that is how you determine what someone has learned and how good they are at interpreting that knowledge and putting it out there. And if you don't have test scores, you don't know how someone's doing. So if they succeed in what they're doing right now, and I'm sure they will because people are too afraid to stand up to it and say, wait a minute, just get prepared for a lot of kids that go to college, waste a lot of scholarship money if they get that, waste a lot of their parents' money and end up dropping out or failing out when they could have gone to a community college, which would have better prepared them for a university and then been able to do well in a field of study that matched their interests and their abilities much better, rather than just saying, hey, you should go to Harvard and study law or whatever. And schools like that are very, very difficult. They're going to lower their standards of admitting people. Let's hope they end up not lowering their standards of grading people like they did under affirmative action. If they do, it's not going to work for anybody. It's terrible. It's a bad idea. It was a bad idea in the 70s, but the generations coming up now don't remember any of that, don't know anything about that, and they think that it's going to work this time. Those who don't learn from history, who don't study it, are doomed to repeat that history, and that's what they're going to do again right now. And the United States of America, the universities, the businesses, and especially the students are going to suffer for it. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Shoot me an email at motopoet59@gmail.com. Like, share, subscribe, click on the bell if you want to be notified of future content. We'll see you all later.